Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're here to do a full review on the Apple Vision Pro. We're going to do things a little differently because there's been a lot of reviews on this already. Even before I got my hands on this thing, there were people reviewing it because early reviewers obviously got their hands on it before it came out. So we're not going to sit here and go through every single spec of this thing because all those videos you guys have already probably seen or they're out there and stuff like that. So for me, I'm going to tell you guys and go through all my experiences within this thing that actually matter. To me, it's going to be about one, comfort, because a lot of people are talking about that and that's really important. And then we're going to talk about how it is to use the OS. Is it as magical as Apple talks about? We're going to talk about the movie experience on this thing. We're going to talk about the gaming experience on this thing. And then, of course, my overall thoughts on the Apple Vision Pro and how it's going to, evolve in my life as somebody who owns the Quest 3, the PlayStation VR 2, the big screen and beyond and stuff. Is it going to be something that I'm going to be using on my daily life and all that kinds of stuff? So I think that's a lot more valuable to people at this point. A lot of people know the spec sheets already about what this thing actually has in it. So we're going to take a look at this at a different angle. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
So the first thing I want to talk about in this video is the comfort. A lot of people have been talking about the comfort of this thing. It does come with the strap that goes over your head and this one. This is the solo one that, comes in the box. It's all the one that Apple shows off in the marketing. As you can see here, it has a really nice and sleek look to it. And then it comes with the dual loop that you can put that kind of has a very similar look to like what the Quest came with and stuff, and it has a top strap and that's all there. But it's not, I've never had the reason to use it. I was actually sitting right there in the corner and I've never put it on because I wanted to see what this experience was like, because it's obviously much easier to show people. It's much easier to put it on. I've been in this thing for like 4 or 5 hours with this thing and I haven't had any comfort issues at all. I'm using a 21W with this, with the face shield that we have here, and it's working really well. And I haven't had any issues with the comfort. Like I said, I've been wearing it for hours. Obviously, your mileage is going to vary. Some people find this really uncomfortable. I think it's really easy to put in and out. Some people like the dual loop one. Some people say both are uncomfortable. Comfort is very subjective, so it's hard for me to tell you guys what you guys are going to think. But I will tell you to try things and don't listen to anybody's review, essentially, of what comfort is like, because what works for me may not work for you. For me, this is awesome and it works really well, and I've used it for hours and I've had no comfort issues. For others, that doesn't work, and other people like the dual one. So it just depends. You're going to have to try things, try it out in the store. I will say to keep an eye on the FOV that people talk about with this thing, which is the next thing I wanted to talk about and touch on real quick. The light shield that you guys are looking at here, that goes in here. They sell this in different sizes and you could get sized at the Apple store. Try the different ones. When I was first sized, I had a 33W, and when I got home, the FOV was definitely a lot smaller than like the Quest 3 and stuff, and it was kind of disappointing. And then I kept seeing people talk about, hey, if you get anything above a 30 of those measurements, it's not, your FOV is going to go down significantly. I was like, oh crap, I need to get back to the Apple store. So I went back into the Apple store and asked them to try 21W. That seems to be the most common one that people are going towards, which is why it's sold out in a lot of stores. And I got a 21W now, and when you put this in here, the FOV is exactly like the Quest 3 now. I have no complaints about it at all. It's just as good as the Quest 3, and now I don't feel like I'm missing anything, and it takes up a good majority of my view, just like the Quest 3 does, and I'm having a much better time, and it was definitely a big increase that I got from the 33W I got. So thank God for the people on Reddit talking about that, because I would have missed the window and I would have been disappointed with the FOV, and that would have been a negative. But now it's just as good as the Quest 3. Obviously, I'd love to see the FOV get bigger. You can still see the black on the corners and stuff like that, in your peripheral, in your view and stuff like that. That's not a surprise, but it's just like the Quest 3, and I'm used to it already, and I was just wanting to get at least that, and I feel like I have that now with this low number that I got. And but we'll see in the future when they make other products how big this FOV can get. If you want to see what the future can look like, take this off and just put your eyes against this like you're wearing a Quest Pro for a minute, and see what it actually does, because it will show you what the FOV can be, and it really takes up your whole entire view when you put your face right up against the lenses, and it gives you a cool idea of what maybe the future will look like with this thing. But obviously that's not something you could do long term, because it obviously isn't comfortable and it isn't meant to be used that way. But yeah, FOV is really good in my opinion, depending on what size you get, and it's just like the Quest 3 depending on what size you get. But if you get those high numbers, you're going to think it's much worse. So something to keep an eye on for sure. Now, I don't have anybody to actually record me while I'm using the headset, so it's hard for me to talk about Eyesight, but I at least got a picture of it. And as you can tell, the eyesight for me, the eyes don't look too bad. It definitely looked like my eyes when I brought this around to friends and family. They were like, oh, I can see your eyes through it kind of thing while they were sitting next to me and stuff. And I do like the idea behind it that Apple is kind of doing, that you can see people's eyes when you're having conversations with them, so you know you're looking at them. And if you're fully immersed, the eyes kind of fade away and you're kind of, you know, have like this halo effect on it. But the screens just aren't good enough to do the job. It's not as bright as what Apple promised. It definitely doesn't look as clear as what Apple promised, especially on Apple's website with that girl wearing it. Doesn't look anywhere near as good as that. They definitely overhyped this feature, and it definitely needs some improvement. But I do like the idea. It's just the screens aren't bright enough and don't look as good as, you know, what it should be or what they kind of showed. But I do like having it there than not having it there, because the people who have sat next to me have actually commented and said, oh, I can see your eyes. That's pretty cool. But you do have to be directly in front of their eyes, sitting down, for them to be able to see it, because if you go up on an angle, you may not even see those eyes appear. So it's something to keep in mind. But like I said, the idea is there, and I do think it's cool, but there's definitely some improvements in Gen 2 that they're going to have to do, because I don't think there's anything they could do about it anymore on this screen. But yeah, definitely overhyped compared to what Apple showed in all their marketing, for sure. Alright guys, so let's talk about the OS on the Vision Pro here, on what we're talking about. So you can see one of the first things you're going to notice is, of course, everything on the Vision Pro that appears in front of you, you pinch to basically interact with everything. So as you can see here, you kind of just pinch to move back and forth, just like this. It's very, very natural. Actually, I showed this to like over 15 people now, and it's only been a little over a week. And as soon as I explain the pinching gesture, it takes everybody like 2 minutes, and then they're kind of in here navigating the OS as you would expect. For example, if I were to open up and scroll over to Safari, for example, it's very easy when people are looking at it to just kind of understand how it actually works and how you actually pinch and zoom. You come up in here and you pull up the keyboard on here, and you kind of just look at it, and as you can see here, I'm just typing in here, and I just typed in Google.com really easily, and you can see I'm on Google.com, and it's navigating through it. You can look at the bottom bar there, and just to pinch the window around. It's just very, very easy and intuitive to use, and I think Apple nailed it with the eye tracking and stuff, and it kind of is a wow factor in my opinion, because of how well everything works and how easy it is to kind of pull this stuff up in front of you. And even when I handed it to other people, they're like, wait, how does it know where I'm looking? That's everyone's reaction, and everyone is just wowed that like the icons are being highlighted and everything they look at just works, and when they do that pinching gesture, it just kind of works. And when you're, you know, looking at Safari, for example, how easy it is to just navigate up and down naturally, like you would do, like if you're used to iPhones and iPads. It kind of just all feels naturally integrated and naturally easy to use for people who have been using iPhones and iPads for a while. And I think Apple nailed the you know, the nature of using eye tracking and stuff like that. It works extremely well. There's a couple of rare instances, obviously, where sometimes it does things that I didn't think it was doing. Sometimes I wonder if it's because I think I'm looking at it and I'm not, but 99.9% of the time, eye tracking has been really, really solid for me, and it works so fast that even if I, you know, were not on here and I accidentally clicked I'm feeling lucky instead of Google search, it's so easy that I can just look at the back button, as you can see up there, really easily, and just kind of go backwards, and that's it. You know, it's just so fast and intuitive that even if it misfires once out of like 1,000 times, it doesn't feel like it matters, because it's so easy to just, hey, go back real quick. That's not what I wanted. But like I said, 99.9% of the time, the eye tracking has been fantastic, and it does have that magic feel. Like when I first used this and I put it on and I was just, you know, manipulating everything and just working through it, it kind of feels like a natural progression of the iPad and the gestures and stuff. And it really did feel kind of magical with how that stuff actually worked. And it was my first big wow moment of like, wow, this actually works, really intuitive, and you can see your hands, you can manipulate things and scroll through things, and it was just really, really cool. One of the other things that stands out to everybody, and it stood out to me as soon as I got in here, which also gave me my second wow factor when I put this on, is just how good everything looks. I mean, when you're looking at these icons here in front of you, it looks so sharp, sharper than any other headset that I've obviously ever used. The colors look fantastic because of the OLED panels, you know, pulling up like things like music and stuff in front of you. Like the colors of this just look so good. Everything looks nice and sharp. Text is so easy to read. You know, even that Safari browser, I can read that very easily. Everything just looks super, super good, and they did a fantastic job of, you know, everything looking the way it should, and just making everything look crystal clear. And I was really blown away when I first put this on seeing what these panels can actually do, seeing the resolution that this thing has. You know, I think it's like 3600 by 3100 or so, highest resolution display in any of these, and Apple calls it 24 million pixels that are on here. it's just outstanding. The colors and the OLED panels on here, it just works super well. Being able to pinch at the bottom and all that kind of stuff, it's just, it looks amazing. Like I said, it's the best display I've ever seen, and it just is so much fun to look at content because of that in here. And it really does blow you away if you've never used a headset of this caliber with the resolution and with these OLEDs and how good the colors look and everything. And it definitely was my second wow factor when I kind of put this headset on. Now, really quickly here, I did want to show you the Photos application just to show you guys one of the other cool things about this thing. First of all, the Photos application is really cool because it darkens the room, as you guys saw. Really cool. It kind of illuminated my room a little bit, so it kind of puts the photos in focus. You could change that in the options if you want to, and filter all this stuff out. But it's really cool how it does that, and you can kind of just manipulate through all of your photos and kind of scroll through them and stuff like that. Which is really cool, and just kind of be scrolling through here and just looking at all your pictures and stuff. As I look in here through the library, some of the videos that I recently recorded, there's me and my giant face sitting on here with some of my videos. And the albums and stuff like that you can kind of go through. But what's really cool is the panoramas. Now, I've taken panoramas for, a while now, knowing what was coming. I wish I was taking more of these, but I never really cared about them. But it's fantastic when you click on one of these and it opens up this panorama. You click on that right thing on the top and you go to immersive mode. And now I feel like I'm reliving this experience. I've never seen photos. First of all, again, the resolution in the OLED panels, just looking through here and looking at these, looking at this photo that I took on my iPhone, on how good it looks. I feel like I'm literally at Atlantis all over again and reliving that memory. And I can scroll through and kind of look at my next one here. When I went on the cruise, kind of sitting here in front of Carnival and Mardi Gras, again, reliving that memory, scrolling through the next one on top of the boat, sitting on the Carnival Mardi Gras when we went. I mean, this stuff is just super immersive. I've never seen pictures like this before, and it really, really makes you feel like you're actually there. And it's super cool. And that also brings us to, obviously, spatial videos as well. So going into spatial videos here as well, you can see how cool it is to kind of look at this. And you can look at it in a small window like this, and it still looks 3D, like you're looking through an actual window. But then when you put it into this immersive mode, you actually do really feel like you're there. It's really cool. And these are just iPhone ones that you've taken. And it's actually going to get even better as, things progress and stuff like that, because iPhones will be able to take these better and better. I would say that these spatial videos actually look better when you take them from the Vision Pro itself, which is super cool, as opposed to like these where you take on your iPhone. I would actually say that these look better when you take them on the Vision Pro itself as opposed to the iPhone, because it has even more 3D depth than usual. But it is super cool to still see these on here, and they look really cool, and I'd much rather relive a memory from my past childhood or adult life, whatever a case may be, like this in this 3D form factor and this 3D window, than I would be just a regular flat 2D video. So I think spatial videos and photos are really gonna evolve as time goes on. Is something that people are definitely gonna be wanting to do with their iPhones and stuff, and it's super cool. And one of the things that definitely stands out for me is, of course, the Apple ecosystem. This is something that only Apple can do. This is something that obviously it's hard for other people to compete with, because we all have, not all of us, but a lot of people have iPhones in their hand. And what that leads into is the fact that you're used to these apps and everything carries over. It's awesome that I carry my phone around and I'm taking pictures and videos and stuff, spatially or not spatially or whatever, and everything's just here. And my Photos application's kind of ready to go anytime I want to open it up. And everything is just kind of here. My pictures and videos and everything's here to go. When I go back to the main menu and I open up Safari, all my favorites and stuff will all just be here. Every time that I have passwords to enter into a website, everything that iCloud chain has already saved for my passwords is all there. My Apple Music that I use all the time, all my music is ready to go, and I can watch anything I want. My notes that I take for everything on my phone and everything is already here. Messages are all here. FaceTime calls that I can make with other people that I'm used to making FaceTime calls with. And Apple ecosystem, the apps and stuff like that, having a million apps already compatible with this thing. It's all about that ecosystem, and it all makes it super fun to use, and super things that you're kind of used to, because it's awesome to have all these things kind of with you that you already are used to on your phone. And that kind of is one of my selling points for me, because it's something that just kind of goes with everything I already use with my Mac and iPhone and stuff, and it's super cool to just have all that stuff integrated. It's awesome the fact that I could be in here watching a movie and doing all these different things, and I don't have to worry about the fact that if I'm getting a text message, because almost everybody, honestly, that I know is on an iPhone. And if they're not on an iPhone, a lot of us use GroupMe, and GroupMe is on here as a compatible app, and I can use these things and get my messages on here. All that stuff is kind of just there, and it really does set itself apart when it comes to other things out there, and I really think that the Apple ecosystem, as usual, because I say the same thing about the iPhone, is a standout feature on this. And of course, that only obviously matters if you're actually in the Apple ecosystem. But since I am, and a lot of people I know are as well, it really is a standout feature. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about with this OS too is if you look up, as you guys saw me do probably a couple times, you can actually just click your hand, and this is the control center. So here I can see my notifications, and I can kind of dismiss all of them if I want to, but look at all my notifications that I can see through here and clear them all if I want to, and go back to the notification center. And again, if you look up, that's how you kind of pull it up. And then here I can always pull up the apps home area without having to click the digital crown up there if I want to. Here I can change the environment to specifically light or dark or automatic every time that I want to, that Apple has with the environments, which is super cool. So you can do that. Here in the control center is where you have other options like the airplane mode over here if you want to turn airplane mode on. This is the actual airplane mode where you actually get to use the headset on the airplane mode. That's what that icon does. Do not disturb, guest mode, mirroring your Mac, recording. This is where Spotlight is. So you have all your control center stuff here that you're used to, which is obviously, all there for you in an easy, use case whenever you need it. Now, environments is a really cool thing that Apple added on here, and it's basically a system, environment that you could be in no matter what application is open. And for example, if I go into Mount Hood here, you have the dial at the top of your headset, and you can dial in exactly how much of this environment you want to see. And they have other environments that you could be in as well, like Yosemite. They got ones that are coming soon, like that beach environment, which I can't see what that looks like. You got the moon, all these different environments that you can explore. And what's cool is that they all do their own things. Like this one here, it's obviously raining here. As you can see here, the moon just looks fantastic, and there's some Easter eggs in all of these environments that you can explore through that you kind of see in each one. They all have the different sound effects, like when it's raining here, you hear the rain, you hear the birds chirping and stuff. And like I said, all these environments can also be put into dark mode if you want to. You can let it do it automatically if you wanted to. So when you're watching a movie and go into fully immersive mode, it will turn dark on its own. But if not, you can kind of just come in here if you want to be in the dark, whether you're watching a movie or not. As you can see now, I'm looking at the night sky. I don't know how well this is coming across in the video, but it's super fun to do. And then you can also go back into light mode, and all the environments let you do this. And it's a system level environment, so that means that your applications will still open over top of it, which is awesome to use, and have all these different applications kind of, just sitting in front of you as you're kind of in this 3D environment and manipulating it in space. And that kind of brings me into the next thing here, which is multitasking and productivity. And it's one of the reasons why I keep using this thing is because it's just really fun to use with multitasking. Like I can have Safari open back there. I can go ahead and open up Apple Music. I can click that button, the drag white bar, and you can just pinch and hold and move it to the side. And obviously I'm not going to do it now for copyright, but I can go ahead and start playing a song. I got Safari in front of me. I can go ahead and pull up my apps again. And let's say that I now want to have, Juno open, which is a YouTube application that's on here right now, made by the Reddit developer. I can pull the bottom bar, put it above me, for example, and you can have all these different multitasking apps kind of just sitting in front of you, doing whatever you want. Let's say I pull up a compatible app that I have on here, like X, for example, and that can pull up in front of me, and I can go ahead and manipulate this on the side. And I have this full-on workspace, and you can definitely get real productivity and work done in this thing. Not only because you have all these different apps that you can open, but you can also mirror your Mac on here. And have your Mac display sitting at 100 inches in front of you. So imagine your Mac right in front of you here as we're, watching, but then having all these apps surrounding your Mac. So you can really go crazy in multitasking. Still use your keyboard and mouse on the Mac and stuff like that. But it's super immersive. It's super fun. And multitasking, I think a lot of people have said that you can open up 12 different things before the system starts going crazy. So 12 different applications open at the same time, all watching a video, all listening to music, opening up Safari, looking at Twitter, all these different things. And that's what makes the other point that I have to say really awesome, which is how fun this is to actually use. The multitasking makes it fun, and just the ease of use of the operating system makes it fun, because when I come home and I'm going to be chilling on the couch and I'm like, hey, I really want to check Twitter and see what happens. Do I really want to pull out my phone and just scroll through Twitter? Or do I want to be in an immersive environment doing all these things at the same time? And for me, I'd rather be on the Apple Vision Pro, which is why I've been using it for hours and hours every day since I got it. Because why would I want to come home and sit on the couch and just scroll through my 6-inch phone? Or even if it's an iPad or a MacBook, it doesn't matter. You're doing one thing. You'll be looking at Twitter, and that's kind of it. Here, you have an expansive landscape where I can just have my music sitting on the side. I can have a YouTube video playing. I can still be scrolling through Twitter and intuitively use it by scrolling through like this. If I want to, watching videos, having Instagram opened everywhere. Super awesome. I can even tell Siri to do things for me, so I can close this out, for example. Open Safari. and it just pulls up right in front of you just like that. So you don't even need to look for the application. It just, wherever you're looking, Siri will open it for you, which is just super awesome, super intuitive, and makes this fun to use. Gotta say that enough, because that's what technology is about. It's supposed to be about having fun sometimes, and this device makes me have fun because it works super well with the eye tracking. It feels futuristic because of the way you're doing these gestures, and the eye tracking works, and manipulating windows, and how good and crystal clear the lenses are, and how good the OLED panels look. And that's what makes me keep coming back to it every day, is because I'd rather do this stuff in here than do it on a flat 2D plane like on my monitor and stuff, because it's that much fun too. That doesn't mean it's going to replace my monitor altogether, because, you know, I still love gaming on my monitor, and sometimes I want to be on my monitor for other different reasons, like recording and stuff like that. So this isn't going to replace anything like that in that sense, but it is replacing my day-to-day stuff where I just want to have fun and relax and just scroll browsing and through websites, or look at Twitter, or watch a YouTube video, or listen to music. I'm going to do it in here. Because it's so much fun to use, and I don't feel disconnected from the outside world, because if I get a FaceTime call, I can have the FaceTime call sitting up there. If I get text messages on GroupMe or on iMessage, I get them in here, so I don't have to worry about my phone too much while I'm in here, which is obviously super fun. The only thing you can't do is receive phone calls that are not FaceTime, which I hope that they add in OS 2, so if you get a phone call on your phone, you won't be able to actually take it on here, which seems super strange, because you could do that on the Mac, on the iPhone, and all that stuff, so I'm sure that that's coming. But that's the only time that I feel a little bit disconnected, but I'm hoping that's something that gets fixed soon.
I really wanted to talk about the audio as well. It sounds so good. I mean, you can move windows around while you're watching a video and it actually comes out of the left side of your ear or the right side of your ear. It really fills the whole entire room. The speakers are a lot louder than you would expect. They sound really clear, but the spatial audio really sells everything about this headset, whether it's the movies that sound that good, or whether it's you're on FaceTime calls that it's actually coming out of the area. It actually feels like you're in these 3D environments because of the way the audio is being portrayed. It's just fantastic stuff.
But one of the other topics I wanted to get in here at the very end here is the Apple touches. The only thing that Apple thinks of, and that kind of what sets their OS apart from other, operating systems out there in VR. And one of the things is actually what we just saw that you guys may have noticed, which is when we're in the dark mode here. Actually, let me go ahead and show you in the light mode, just in case the dark mode isn't coming out super great on here, and you guys will still get the idea, because I don't know how dark it's actually showing up. But if I go back into this trailer here and I look at the light mode here, obviously it goes in that 100 and screen, but now you can see the reflections there from the movie at the bottom. It's those Apple touches in these environments. So here it's reflecting off the bottom, which makes it super immersive. But even if you're not in there, you also have things like it reflecting if you go to other environments and stuff that I showed you guys before that are kind of in here. These environments here all do their own different things. So here in the first one here on the clouds, you'll see the clouds kind of reflecting off different colors of what you're actually watching. Each of these environments has different sound effects, like I talked about with the birds chirping and the rain and stuff like that. And they all have Easter eggs to find on all of them. And when you're on the first one here, you can even scream really loud and you'll actually hear an echo coming back from the mountains. Like, who thinks of that? You're in a 3D virtual environment and you start screaming and you actually hear your echo coming back to you. It's super insane that, like, some of the details that they actually think of when it comes to this stuff, and it really does set itself apart to what everyone likes to say, the Apple touches in their OS. Or just the way that, like, Photos applications work with the gestures that I talked about, I think are super intuitive, that you can kind of just, pull up a picture, for example, here in an album. Let's say I just pulled this up. I can kind of just zoom in, just like this. It works super intuitively, works exactly how you would expect it, but it's just super cool to use and super cool to do, and it works really intuitively, which is kind of what stands out about Apple stuff. And there's so many different, like, things that I've come across that are just super cool on here, like this one here. Guys, I'm here chilling on the moon on the Apple Vision Pro, and this thing just kind of blew my mind. So you guys know when you go on Apple's website and you can look at, and it says view in AR, that we've been looking at on their phones when we always thought was, like, useless and stuff like that. Well, go on the Apple Vision Pro and go on apple.com and look at these objects on here. First of all, this object in front of me looks real. This Apple Watch here is insane on how detailed this thing looks. This thing is blowing my mind. First of all, let's move this more out of the way. But this is just crazy. I need to move it more out of the way. Let's put it up there. This thing is just insane. Look at the detail. I don't know if it's coming across in this video, but I feel like this Apple Watch is in front of me, and you can manipulate the size of this watch or move it around. But check this out. When you actually move this thing around, check out the fact that they actually added the reflection on where you're actually at in the environment. So I'm sitting here on the moon, and as I manipulate it, it's actually doing real-time reflections on the AR object from Apple's website. Like, that is ridiculous for them to think of that. to put that in here. I mean, that's just insane. And not only does it do it from the moon, if I get it like correctly in here, but it's a little hard. It could actually reflect off that moon over there, depending on what angle it's hitting, and it will actually reflect off the screen too. Sometimes you can get it to like reflect the light, depending on where it's bouncing. It's insane. And also, the Earth that is behind me somewhere. There it is. I could actually get it to sometimes reflect off of that too. It's just crazy. And you can manipulate the size of this thing. And you could do this with the Mac on there and the iPhone as well. So you can look at it. And what's even better is you can actually save it when you click on it. So I actually saved it to my downloads. But you can actually manipulate the size. So I can put it down to 100% scale. And now it actually is like the size of an Apple Watch. And the detail is just crazy. And then you just pinch to zoom. And look at how big you can make this thing. It's just crazy how big this thing can be. And it kind of just blew my mind, so I had to add this in here. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff to explore in the OS that kind of gives it that Apple touch. Even just the dial on here, like as far as how they thought of not just being in a fully immersive environment all the time with those Apple touches. So if I could see my environment halfway through here, if I have something in front of me like a phone or coffee and stuff, I can still see it, but still be fully immersed in front of me, which is super cool. So all those little touches really make the OS kind of stand out, and always gives it that Apple little touch that you kind of expect from them. But it's definitely here even in version 1.0. What's really exciting is what we're going to get when 2.0 comes out here at WWDC, which is only 4 months away. I haven't been this excited for a WWDC in forever because I never really care because the iPhones haven't really added anything crazy. But now that we have a new platform sitting at 1.0 kind of all over again, you know, the door's wide open for what features they're going to add next, and I'm super excited to see what comes out of that and what they actually added to the operating system in 2.0. But yeah, that's kind of everything I wanted to talk about in the OS itself. Like I said, super cool, super intuitive, super fun to use, which, you know, you can definitely get some more work done in here, and I'm having a blast using the actual OS. I have had, you know, a couple of bugs every now and then because it is version 1.1 that I'm on because I'm using the beta, which has already improved personas and stuff. But it's been super easy to, you know, just restart the headset and get rid of those things. It's only happened a couple times, but it's been a pretty solid OS too as far as bugs go and stuff for version 1.0. 1.1 that I'm actually on, and even in the beta has worked pretty solidly for me. So I also wanted to talk here about personas, and the way that I'm going to show you here is going into the settings application and just showing you what my persona actually looks like here. So here we are with personas, and you can see my persona right here. You guys can see me. This is on 1.1, so like I said, they do improve personas, and I think it looks really good. I know a lot of people say that, like, oh, it's a little bit on the edge of Uncanny Valley, which obviously it is. Like, my eyes sometimes move a little bit weird and stuff, but everybody that I FaceTime called, I called my family even on 1.0, and yes, they all said, oh, wow, that looks, like, crazy, like, weird and stuff like that. They made those comments, but none of them said, after, like, talking to them for, like, 4 or 5 minutes on that FaceTime call, they were already getting used to it, and they were already, like, really impressed with, like, the way it's tracking my face and the way it was tracking my hands, how it moved my eyebrows, my tongue sticking out, all these different facial expressions that this thing does. It's kind of insane how it captures it, the way my mouth is moving to what I'm actually saying. It's all super impressive, and it's only going to get better from here. Version 1.1 is already showing that personas are going to continue to keep getting better and better, because this is already a nice improvement over version 1.0 that people already saw, where it's capturing more details on your face and stuff, and it's doing a super good job. I think my persona looks exactly like, I don't think anybody will see my persona, even if they get weirded out because I've never seen it, because it looks like a digital recreation of me, which is obviously definitely true. I think a lot of them get used to it after like 5 or 10 minutes of talking, and it starts feeling natural, and a lot of people just end up talking to you naturally, and it's definitely more personal than a FaceTime call, in my opinion. And I know that not a lot of people share that opinion yet, but if I'm talking to someone else on a Vision Pro and we're talking together with our personas, that feels a lot more personal to me, because I feel like I'm talking more at them than if I was just talking to them on a 2D FaceTime call. Now, that doesn't work in the same way if I was talking to someone on a FaceTime call who's just using an iPhone. For them, I'm just, you know, it's going to just take some time to getting used to what they're seeing, because they're not, you know, they're not represented in the same way. But if we're both on a FaceTime call and on the Vision Pro and we're using our personas, I think that's a lot more personal, one-on-one, than a regular 2D FaceTime call. And it's super fun to use, and it's only going to get better from here. I'm not saying everything about this is perfect. I just think it's like, yes, it's on the edge of Uncanny Valley for sure, but I also think it's super impressive technology, and I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as people saying, like, I'll never use this to call my family ever. Like, I called a bunch of my family and friends. First 2 minutes, they were like, dude, that looks super crazy. You look like a digital avatar. 5 minutes later, we weren't even talking about it anymore. We're just naturally talking to each other, and they didn't, like, you know, say, they didn't keep going back harping on it, be like, this is is crazy. This is, I can't believe I'm looking at you like this. It just became a normal conversation. And, like I said, it looks like me. Nobody would see a FaceTime call with me popping up this way and not know it's who they're talking to, because it really does look just like me. I have no complaints about how this looks like me. Nobody would confuse it. The other thing I wanted to talk about here, which obviously you guys saw throughout the OS walkthrough, but now we're going to get a little bit more into it, is the pass-through quality and what a lot of people talk about. So you can see we're moving around here in my living room. In the pass-through quality, I don't have any of the lights turned on or anything, just the lamp here. And it looks definitely better than it looks on the Quest 3, because that's what a lot of people like to compare it to. And I can definitely see my environment, and I can see it, really well. Yes, there's some grain in here if I really stare for it, but it's not really apparent. Even in this low light, I would have to look for it. It's not crystal clear. It's not as clear as people made it seem like, that it was like looking through see-through glass. That is 100% not true. You can definitely still look like you're looking through a camera. But as I look through this, I can easily read things, like even that clock right there. I can see it's 12:06 right now, for example. I could easily read my signs and all that kinds of stuff. It's super easy to, kind of look at and stuff. While I'm watching this, and I have no issues, using pass-through. Obviously, I hope that pass-through gets better, obviously, like we all do. As I'm walking here through my Disney room, I can read all these things through pass-through. I can see High School Musical, Camp Rock, Be My Guest, Brink, Color of Friendship, some of my favorite movies as I walk through here. My Disney TV, again, I can see that clock really easily. These movies over here on the DVDs look a little bit harder to see. I would have to kind of bend down, and now I can read them. From the top view, it was hard to see. From up there, but if I bend down, I can see them. I can see, obviously I could read that. I could read all this. I can see my Samsung Disney TV sitting in here. All this is pretty easy to read. This small text right here, if I'm all the way back here, I can't read that. I could read that one. That one's big enough to read, but through pass-through, that's not sharp enough to read. I would have to come about here. For me to be able to read this small text before it actually comes into focus with that small text. But it's still, super impressive tech in my opinion. And the better lights you have, the better. So if I come in here, even in this room here, obviously it's bright daylight when I'm recording this on the weekend. And if I come in here and use my, I'm using this through pass-through right now. I can see all this real easily. I can manipulate it. I have no issues using it. I can turn all my lights on from here. And it's not like I can't see what I'm actually hitting. I can see all this stuff really easily, and it works pretty well. It does exactly what I want pass-through to look like. And as I'm looking through all this stuff and all my lights are on, it definitely looks better in here than it does in my living room, because there is more, even though the curtains are closed, there is more light coming through here. But if I were to open the lights in here and make it look even brighter in here, for example, if I open up this window a little bit, even though it's kind of muggy outside, so it's not going to do too much. The more light you let in, obviously, the better it's actually going to look in here when it comes to here. But it looks good. Like I said, it didn't blow my mind like the resolution of the displays did. Because I was expecting it to be even higher quality just because everyone was talking about it. But it definitely is a bigger improvement than it would be, on the Quest 3, which is what I'm used to, and what, the best pass-through I saw before was the Quest 3. And this is definitely a substantial improvement in the resolution, and it's also a substantial improvement in the fact that this doesn't distort. When I look at my hands, and I was doing this on the Quest 3, it would distort everywhere. That's obviously a big deal, and it doesn't do that on here. It looks awesome and stuff like that, and that distortion was a big deal. Using your phone always looked like it was warped and stuff on the Quest 3. It doesn't do any of that warping nonsense, which I think right there is a pretty big improvement, that this actually looks the way it's supposed to. So that's pretty good as it is. But it's also a little bit better in resolution, noticeable for sure. And even in pitch darkness, when I was doing this in dark light, and when I came into my office, the Quest 3 was completely grainy as hell, like a VHS tape. This one was also grainy, because like I said, you will see grainy depending on what the light details are and stuff like that. You'll see it more pronounced because it is a camera, but it was less grainy than the Quest 3 was in pitch darkness. So again, the improvements are there. It will look better to basically everyone who's used the Quest 3. It just depends on your expectations and how crazy you thought it was going to look over what you were expecting. That you may alter your opinion, but it's definitely better than anything we've gotten before. It is an improvement, but if we want it to be crystal clear, like everyone was trying to make it seem like looking through glass, we definitely have ways to go before this looks like glass, as opposed to looking through a camera feed. Alright guys, so here we are with the movie watching experience and the media watching experience I wanted to show you guys. So we're going to start off with Apple TV right here, which obviously comes pre-installed, and here it is right in front of me. And the first thing we're going to talk about here is the 2D content that's in here. So you can of course have your access to your whole entire library of all these 4K HDR movies that you may have purchased over the years. As you guys are looking at here, you have all the TV shows that Apple has and anything you've purchased. All your movies, all that kinds of stuff, all the 2D stuff that you would expect is kind of all here. And you also have access, of course, to Apple TV Plus as well. So you have everything that you can, watch, like Ted Lasso and stuff like that. Now, of course, I can't really show you, a movie playing because obviously it's copyright, but I will show you the experience so you guys get the idea. So this is obviously a black screen right now, and I'm going to go ahead and lower it, which is fine, but you can see that you can kind of manipulate this window if it wasn't black, and it would be playing right now because I'm recording, and kind of put this window anywhere you want it to be. And imagine having this window up with all different kinds of multitasking, like for example the Safari browser kind of sitting on the side, and you can kind of be in your pass-through environment just like this with Safari open on the right hand side and doing whatever you want to do, and opening up a bunch of different apps, basically anywhere you want, while you're manipulating through stuff, looking at your mail, looking at your notes, and having it on the right hand side. So it's cool to multitask and of course be able to watch a show like this if you want to. But even better so is that you can go into their immersive environments here, like the moon, for example, or the cinema. Now, like I said, this thing doesn't let me actually show you even if I paused it, the actual environment of being in the cinema. So you'll have to, go in there for yourself. But what's cool about the cinema, even though you can't see it right now because it's pitch darkness, is you can actually change your seat, go to the front, middle, and back, and go to the balcony or top floor so you can see the gigantic movie screen in front of you, which I wish I can show you. But, when you're watching movies or even when you have it paused, they just don't let you see it, and you can't go into the cinema without a movie actually playing. But the 2D experience on here is fantastic just because of the multitasking alone. But then on top of that, you can obviously use the environments that you're used to seeing when you're on the Apple Vision Pro, like you see me doing right here. So I could be watching this right now and watching whatever show I want, and also be on the moon. So I could be sitting here on the moon, enjoying the views and stuff like that, and being in whatever environment I want. And of course, you can be either in the dark moon or in the light room, and then it makes the screen gigantic in front of you while you're looking at, as you can see here, if you want to be fully immersed or if you just want it to be a window. If you're fully immersed like you saw, then you can't have any multitasking going on, and you'll have the full window with a gigantic screen. If you want to do it that way, or if you're just having a window open while you're on the moon, you could do it either way, and then you can multitask at the same time, which is cool. And again, you can use this with any of the environments, of course, that Apple has. So the environments that you're used to seeing on here, like Mount Hood and all that kind of stuff, you can kind of just switch right to it and then be here, doing the same thing. Again, you can either be looking at this 2D screen like this, or you can, of course, switch it from light to dark, so I can be in the dark mode as well. Now, the other thing we got to talk about is, of course, on Apple TV Plus is their immersive content, and this is something that cannot be missed. First of all, I want to talk about the demo reel that a lot of people aren't able to find on here, and it actually is on here. That demo reel that people are getting at the Apple Store, that you get to see like a sizzle reel of everything going on. You can actually find it on here. So basically, you tap search on the left hand side. Don't actually type anything in the search, just open it, and you'll see these tiles pop up in front of you. Then you hit only on Vision Pro, and then you'll get the immersive content, obviously. But if you scroll down a little bit, you'll actually see on this here where it says Apple Immersive Video here. If you scroll to the right, there it is right there. Experience immersive. This is a 3D 180 video, and so are these that they're making right here. And these are the best things I've ever seen as far as quality goes. This will literally blow your mind. It looks so good. And even better so is the fact that like these are actual TV shows. So when you click on some of these, for example, like I saw the Prehistoric, this is not a one-shot deal. So you can see it's season 1, episode 1. So they're going to be coming out with new episodes, and I can't wait. Like I said, these look so good. They really, I've never seen, 3D 180 look as good as whatever they're using for cameras and stuff. And it really makes you feel like you're there. And this immersive one shows you the power of what sports may look like in the future. It's like a 3-minute sizzle reel, and this is what they show at the demo when you go to the Apple Store, and it's really good. Again, it doesn't let me record when I open any of these up, but definitely check these out. These are fantastic things to experience if you have Apple TV Plus. The next thing we got to talk about here is the Apple Vision Pro and its 3D content, because that's one of the main reasons why I was super excited about this thing when it first came out and got launched, and I'm super excited to, have this on here. And again, if you go to your library and you actually have 3D movies already from part of your library. They're getting upgraded for free. You can see the 3D movies I have, and you can play this in the exact same methods I said before. You can either play it in an immersive environment, like I said here, or you can go into Apple's theater section as well and do it either way you want. And these, again, this is the best 3D experience I've ever had on anything. And you guys know who follow me on this channel that I have an LG E6, which I purposely got and spent a lot of money on because I love 3D movies, and that was the best way to watch it because that was a 4K TV. But it doesn't match the fact that not only is this a 4K TV as well, but these are actually for the first time being in 4K, which you can't do on any other TV in existence or anything like that. So that already makes the quality better than my TV downstairs. But on top of that, it is also in HDR, and it's just an awesome experience, and the 3D depth is really, really good. And for those of you guys wondering, because there's been some confusion out there, I did a short on it. 3D content, you only get 3D movies upgraded for free if you actually purchase these movies from Apple TV or Apple themselves on iTunes. So if you got these from Movies Anywhere and you linked it on here, it's not going to be movies that are going to show up in this 3D section library. And there is a workaround for it. If you want to use the workaround, you're going to have to gift the movie to yourself. Now, this is not as easy as it used to be because this was the same problem when they did 4K upgrades as well. So you're going to basically have to go into, the way I did it is on my Windows computer, I downloaded iTunes 12.10.11. And on iTunes there, you'll be able to actually download the, search for the movie on that iTunes version, which is a version that's been is a couple of years old now, but it still had the gifting ability and it still works. And then you gift the movie to yourself because obviously iTunes thinks you own it because it is going to show up in your library as you own it, but it's not going to get a 3D version of it. So you have to basically repurchase the movie all over again by gifting it to you on that version of iTunes and then redeem it on your account, and then it will show up. I did that for a few of my movies and it worked just fine, like San Andreas and Ready Player One. I had to do that for, and Super Mario Bros. I had to redo that for as well. So keep that in mind if you guys are wondering why you don't have as many 3D movies in your library as you thought. It's because of that. If you purchase it outside of iTunes, they don't get the free upgrade. So here on Disney Plus, as you guys are looking at here, they also have a gigantic library of 3D movies, and I love that because it's obviously included in your subscription of Disney Plus, and I hope that they keep adding to this as time goes on, because they have a lot of good stuff that they could definitely put in here. I see that they've already added a couple of new ones that I don't remember being here before. Which is good to see. Pirates of the Caribbean, I don't remember ever being there on launch day. So it seemed, and they added the Marvels on here, which is awesome in 3D that they recently added. So it's good to see that they're continuing to expand the 3D area here and having more of your Disney movies on here. And I hope that that's something that they do going forward. But what really sells this is that they also created their own environment here, and they created Disney Plus Avengers Tower, Scare Floor, and Tatooine. And Avengers Tower just really blows your mind while you're in here. I mean, this just looks so good as you guys are looking at here, and the detail on this environment and everything around you is just amazing. The Iron Man, the hammer, and the Captain America shield and everything around you just really sells this experience. But how awesome is it to be watching Marvel movies and be sitting on top of Avengers Tower, or if you can be in Disney's theater, or on Scare Floor if you want to be here in Monsters Inc., which is just super cool, or in Tatooine and literally be on a speeder while you're watching. And what's awesome about these experiences and what they did with these is the fact that, and again, I can't show you the movie, but I should be able to at least show you the idea, is if I'm sitting here in Avengers Tower and I click on Aladdin, for example, and I'm going to just pause it real quick when it starts. But you guys can see, obviously the movie's right in front of me on a gigantic screen, but the environment actually dimmed as soon as the movie started. So it has like that dark mode, just kind of like the Apple TV environments do. And this is just amazing. Look at the fact that they actually detailed and made like Iron Man like light up, and the Hulkbuster and stuff like that, and the small lighting that's in the back, and the cityscape is now lit up. It's just awesome. And this is one of the selling points that I love specifically about doing things like this, is the fact that I can be in these immersive environments and watching these movies. This is other things that other people need to lean into, and I hope Apple leans into it. Like if I'm watching a Ted Lasso show, put me in a Ted Lasso environment. It makes it much more fun to watch. And whatever the case may be, when they have like big movies or big TV shows dropping from other companies, whether it's Disney or them, this is awesome, because now when I have these environments, if I'm watching an Avengers movie, I'm going to be in here. If I'm watching Pixar, I'm going to be in Monsters Inc. If I'm watching Star Wars movies, I'll be in Tatooine. And anything else Disney related, I'll be on the Disney theater. Disney did it awesome, and I hope that Apple and other ones do the same thing. with their environments and create environments like that for their specific movies and shows, because it's an awesome experience to be able to do that. And again, if you're in Passthrough, you can obviously bring up and multitask, just like I said you can do with the other ones, where you could bring up Safari, and if you're not watching it in the environments on Disney Plus that I showed you just now, you can still be in your Passthrough and then multitask and everything, or be in one of Apple's immersive environments and still watching Disney Plus this way. So it depends on which way you want to watch it. You can watch it on a smaller screen like this, and then maximize the window, of course, if you want to, like this, and kind of make the screen bigger or smaller, but and then put it wherever you want and still be able to multitask and still watch 3D content, but it's just not in one of Disney's environments. So you have both options depending on what you want to do. Now, Max is another one that kind of does the same thing, where they actually created their own environment, and they created an Iron Throne room, so Game of Thrones type room, which is obviously super cool. And you can see, as I loaded in here, that you can kind of see that here you have the Iron Throne room right here, which is really cool. I don't think this room is as detailed as the Disney rooms that I just showed you. I think Disney did a better job as far as like really making you feel like you're in here. But this is still a really cool room, and this is something that other companies need to lean into for their shows, like I talked about. And it's still super cool to have in here. And I'd rather be in this environment watching Game of Thrones than not being in this environment. So kudos to HBO for also having this ready for launch, and hopefully they expand this going forward. IMAX is another app on here that really makes you feel like you're in the environment as well, because it really puts you in here into an actual giant IMAX theater. If you click on one of these, for example, and you watch one of these are actually presented in their true original IMAX form. Another really cool app to watch movies on here through the IMAX platform with the 3 documentaries that they currently have on here. Now, we don't have a YouTube application, we all know, but we do have Juno, which is from the developer who created Apollo from Reddit back in the day that we all know. And you could use this to watch YouTube, again, with the multitasking all around you and stuff. It works pretty well. I'd definitely rather use this than use the Safari browser. There are some things that are limited about it, like you can't, set the resolution and stuff like that. While you're watching a video, it just auto goes to the resolution. Luckily for me, it seems like it's always going to the highest resolution anyway, which is what I would have done, so it's not the hugest deal. There are a couple of bugs in here, but I definitely still recommend this app a lot. This is much better using this than using the web browser. It pulls up your YouTube, you can sign in, see, you can look at the left-hand side and kind of see your watch list and stuff like that, which is cool, and, what's hot, and, what's trending, and then who you're subscribed to, and see your videos, and then go to your home, all that kinds of stuff that are here, which is awesome. So Juno is obviously a great thing to have, on the Apple Vision Pro, and kudos to the developer for getting this out so quickly that we have a native YouTube application. Now, I did want to mention also, even though it's not something I can really easily show you, is that you can be in this immersive environment, again, like usual, while watching these applications. But one of the things that I love about movies and stuff like that in VR is the fact that these are usually done socially. Now, obviously, the Vision Pro, at least right now, is very to yourself. You're just watching a lot of this stuff solo. It's not like you have, like the Quest, if you guys are familiar, has like big screen and stuff like that, where you can be in 20-person rooms and kind of be watching with randoms. But if you have family members or friends that you personally know, you could technically use SharePlay, if you guys are familiar with SharePlay. And for apps that support it, like Apple TV or Disney Plus and stuff, you can all be on SharePlay on a FaceTime call, and you can have all the FaceTime calls kind of surrounding you in these virtual environments, watching the movie together, and you'll be at the same exact position, watching the movies together, all on FaceTime, talking to each other. So obviously that's a lot more social, and it doesn't have to be, by yourself. But I would still rather see Apple expand it to not just be FaceTime calls, but if you actually have Vision Pros, to maybe all have your personas kind of sitting on a couch or something like that, or in a room or an environment, so you all feel present with each other more than just a regular FaceTime call. Or if you're not going to do that and go that step further, at least let us do it with randoms. I don't know if Apple would ever do that, but maybe third-party apps will do it. I love going into big screen and watching sporting events with people all over the world who are hosting different rooms and stuff like that. So if you can go on Apple TV Plus and host a room, and if everyone's subscribed to Apple TV Plus in that room, they can all watch the content together. Same thing with Disney Plus, and all be in the same room, joining randoms and exploring that stuff would be super awesome. And I hope that that's something that, sports and games and other people, decide to do so we can watch all this content together in a brand new way socially with other people, because that's one of the best things about VR in my opinion. Now, the last app I want to show you is Amaze VR. I actually did a dedicated video to this, and this is just amazing. You guys definitely need to check this application out. This is a immersive VR concert. You can see that these are the artists that they've done so far, T-Pain and stuff like that, and these are the guys coming soon that they're going to be working with. But this is easily the best VR concert I've ever seen quality-wise ever, and this really makes me excited for the future of VR concert. It is presented in the way that they're capturing it is just amazing. The way that they're doing these concerts, you really feel like you're in there. It's 180 3D, but the resolution is insane. It's really, really good. It's like one of the Apple immersive videos that I talked about. It's that kind of quality, but just being in a VR concert. But the creativity is also really good. The fact that you can, it brings you through different environments and stuff, something you obviously couldn't do in real life, and they feel like they're right here in front of you is just amazing. And you can actually try a song for free right here for each of them, so you can kind of see exactly what I'm talking about for free. And then the full-on concert, if you want to purchase it, is $12.99, which in my opinion was fully worth it. I bought T-Pain because that's the artist that I knew, and being there with him, it felt amazing. The resolution and stuff on the Apple Vision Pro really lends itself for this app to be amazing to look at. And again, it really sold me on VR concerts, and I can't wait to see what artists they come out with next. And I can't wait to see more of these, and the 3D capturing that they're doing and stuff like that with this stuff is amazing, and I think it will blow a lot of you guys away. And again, I did a separate video on this app just because of how much I actually like it.
All right, guys, so now we're just going to talk all about the gaming aspect on the Vision Pro and go through all the things you could do currently in gaming.
And we're going to start by playing a 2D game so you guys can get the idea of what this actually does if you play a 2D game that works well with your Xbox controller, which if I dial back my environment here, you guys will see it's exactly what I'm holding in my hand. If I open up this, and you can see they have some categories here, great with controllers. So let's say that we're going to go ahead and play Asphalt 8. All right, so we have Asphalt 8 Plus here that I just downloaded, ready to go. And as you can see, you can be in a 3D environment, and one of the 3D environments that Apple talked about that you can kind of be in here. And, playing these games, you could obviously increase the size of the window if you want to whatever size you want. You can push it back a little bit and kind of just be hanging out here in these 3D environments while playing these games on a gigantic screen. As you guys are looking at here, we're pressing next. Go ahead and just select any of these. We can just randomize these, see how it goes. For now, just to circle through this. But you can do this with any of the games that are on, Apple Arcade. If you subscribe to Apple Arcade that are 2D, or anything on the iPad App Store that's allowed to be run on the Vision Pro if they opted in.
So here it is, Asphalt 8 on a gigantic screen, and it actually plays really well. I mean, you can just use the Xbox controller I was talking about and play all these games like on a gigantic version of it. And obviously, I'd rather play these games if I was going to play an iPad game or an iPhone game that supports controllers. I'd obviously rather pick up my Vision Pro and use an Xbox controller and have a virtual screen size that's huge in front of you, and the colors and everything are represented really well, obviously with the resolution of the Vision Pro and how well everything looks and how good everything runs. It's just a really fun experience, and you get to take advantage of being in the scenery behind you, like you guys can see. If you're in an immersive environment, you can take advantage of multitasking while you're playing these games and just have all these windows everywhere if you want to. It's just a really fun experience to play these games that you kind of know and love from the iPad with controllers, and just experience them in a brand new way, and in my opinion, a better way.
The other type of games we're going to be talking about are the immersive type games that you're fully in a VR environment. So not mixed reality games. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But there is a couple of fully immersive VR games. If you guys are used to games like Quest, where you're virtually somewhere else, there is a couple right now that you can play that are like that on here. And we're going to start off first with Synth Riders. Synth Riders is a game that a lot of us know from the Quest because it obviously is on here. And this actually got brought over to Apple Arcade. So if you're subscribed to Apple Arcade, you get this game and over 70 songs in the game already included and ready to go.
So here we are in the virtual environment. This is probably what you're used to if you play this game on the Quest. And you can see I'm using hand tracking, and it works pretty well. The visuals obviously look really good, and it is keeping track of, me playing and stuff like that. Now, this game only does support 3 difficulty levels, easy, medium, and hard. The Quest does support higher difficulty levels.
So it's not surprising to kind of see that this one only supports these 3 here. And so it's probably just hand tracking probably just isn't good enough to support those other ones. But just to show you also what spatial looks like instead is it basically opens up a giant window. So you guys are used to this also on the Quest if you've played it, where it's mixed reality and it opens up a giant window. But I was pleasantly surprised, even though there's only 3 difficulty levels, and how this actually performs and how it tracks. There obviously is a little latency with your hands, but I never thought I missed a note because of it or anything like that as I was playing, and I had a fun time with it. Obviously, I miss haptic feedback from the other quests that you can actually feel haptics because they actually have controllers. But other than that, I could easily play this game on here and be just as happy playing it. Besides that fact, another one that I wanted to show you guys here is Jetpack Joyride, and this game is actually super fun. It puts you in this 3D environment. You can see I'm sitting in my chair here, and I have this 3D environment that I'm in. They really did a good job, and you can actually mess with some of these things here by just pinching. Like, I can grab the phone, I can change the picture around me, I can mess with that doll, I can mess with this thing over here. You can actually pinch things all over the place to kind of mess around with different objects, play some music back there. So a lot of cool stuff that you can actually interact with in this area here, but the actual game is obviously right in front of you. I was really surprised here on how well I can actually play this game using just the pinch mechanic that the Vision Pro seems to use a lot, and just moving up and down by using the pinch mechanic. I was able to avoid obstacles pretty well, and I was having a great time. Again, Jetpack Joyride is one of those games that has been around on the iPhone for a while, but I'd much rather play it in this immersive environment that they created, and using this pinch mechanic works super well for the game. And yeah, I would rather play this like this and on an iPhone. It's a lot more fun, it's a lot more immersive and stuff like that, and I don't feel like the controls hinder in any way. So this is one of those games that did a good job bringing that game over here, even though it's a game that's wasn't really intended for this platform. So hopefully other developers kind of do the same thing, that they kind of bring their iPhone games over and they kind of do something like Jetpack Joyride did, where hey, maybe it's not fully created for VR, but you can put a virtual screen in front of us that looks 3D, which is really cool, and put us in an immersive environment and lean into that, because this is still much more fun than just playing it on your iPhone. This is Game Room by one of my favorite developers in VR, Resolution Games. I love them on the Quest, and they do such fantastic games. And I was super excited that this is a game that they actually worked on here. And this is board games. You guys know I love my board games and stuff. And the fact that this is on here fits perfectly for a thing like this. Imagine having YouTube and stuff open here. I can have YouTube open here. And playing a video and stuff, have Twitter open, have this open. And you guys can see I can play one of these immersive games, because this game lets you have an option, which I think is great. I think games should let you have an option, because if you're an immersive, then that's fine. You're going to be in an immersive environment like Jetpack Joyride, and you're not going to have any of these windows open, which is great and fantastic. But this game also gives you the choice if you want to be in that environment and be fully immersed. And as you can see, I can have Battleship sitting in the center of the room and be playing Battleship. Look at how cool Battleship is here. You're playing Battleship, trying to take the other teammate down, and I could still be looking at Twitter and scrolling through here and doing that while I'm playing Battleship and scrolling through Twitter and stuff. Board games on the Apple Vision Pro like this will be fantastic if other board game makers bring their game on here. This game also supports online, so you can play with other people as well and have their avatars around the table. It also supports a couple of other games. It's not just Battleship that you can play. So if I bring up the menu here and I quit the game and I quit this, you can see the use of the Game Room game. So again, we're still in our immersive environment for Apple. And then you can go ahead and say you bring up chess. I can go ahead and bring up chess here. Again, you can either play the computer in different levels. You can play turn-based or multiplayer. We're just going to go ahead and choose the AI for now, of course. I just think this is fantastic, and really not a talked about feature on how good this actually is, to just be in an immersive environment that Apple gives you while playing some of these games that let you do this. And again, this is awesome. I can go ahead and move my chess piece around, go ahead and play there. Got this open here. I can go ahead and grab another chess piece here. Let's say if I want to select that one. Actually, no, I'm not going to move that one. That would be crazy. Let's see. Let's move that one over here. For example, and first of all, this chessboard and the pieces and stuff, they look really, really good. And it just works super well. And this is so much fun to do. And like I said, you can also go into an immersive environment. So if you go into the options here, I can go ahead and click on this. And as you can see here, I can be in an immersive environment and be fully dialed in if I want to. I can even get out of this environment a little bit if I just want to be here, or I can be fully dialed in here. And this is awesome because now you can play games here fully immersed and stuff like that. But obviously, you're not going to be having your windows, and you're not going to be multitasking when you're fully immersed like this. But I love games like this and Cut the Rope, or this game especially, because it gives you both options of being immersed fully, or you can do the mixed reality method and then still have all your windows and be able to multitask like crazy, which is just an awesome experience to be able to do on the Apple Vision Pro like this, and be able to use any of the apps in the ecosystem at the same time, playing your music, playing a YouTube video, opening up your messages on your phone, FaceTime, whatever the case may be, is just super cool. And Cut the Rope is pretty cool too, because it lets you do that in their environment as well. Now, unfortunately, there is no Xbox Game Pass app that you can get on the store right now. Hopefully that changes, but there is a workaround if you want to play Xbox Game Pass, and that's if you have a Mac like I do right here. You can go ahead and play, Xbox, whether it be in your pass-through environment, or of course dialed into whatever Apple 3D environment you want to be in, like this one here. And you can have this gigantic screen in front of you of your Mac. So just know that that's definitely an option. Just connect your Bluetooth controller to your Mac at that point, instead of directly to your Apple Vision Pro. So it's connected to your Mac, and it will obviously detect a Bluetooth controller while you play it, and then you could have this gigantic screen in front of you and still play Xbox Game Pass if you want to on a gigantic screen. So there is a workaround until we actually get the app installed or available on the App Store. Now, something that is available that is native, that is a compatible app on here, is Steam Link, which is awesome. So Steam Link actually does let you use your controller. You connect it directly to your Vision Pro via Bluetooth. I have an Xbox controller here, and this is the exact same mentality, except here it is scanning for computers that are running Steam. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my computer on here, and boom, as you guys can see here, I am now connected to Steam. I can go ahead and, as usual, make this window a little bit bigger, move it a little bit further back over there. And now we have this gigantic screen here for us to be able to play. So here we are with Disney Speedstorm. And as you can see now, we are in Disney Speedstorm. This is one of the games I've been addicted to for a while. So let's go ahead and just start one of these up here. Playing my Steam my Steam library on this gigantic screen, which is cool. And it works surprisingly well. It's a lot of fun to be able to play your Steam games like this in 4K, obviously streaming over your network, and just playing it on a gigantic screen with a controller and stuff like that, just on the Vision Pro, taking advantage of everything the OS offers with multitasking and stuff. And it looks fantastic on here on the screens, and it's just a lot of fun to play this way. Alright guys, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We have a lot of things to talk about here in my final thoughts here, wrapping this up. So the first thing I want to talk about is things that I'd like to see improved on here, or things that I just don't like on here. Number one, of course, is the fact that there is no VR controllers on here, even though there are some games that I just showed off there, and you can use an Xbox controller and stuff. And don't forget, an Xbox controller can still be really useful for playing immersive VR games. They just haven't shown up yet. Like, for example, Resident Evil that I play with a DualShock on the PlayStation VR 2, as an example. So it's not like we can't get good VR games in here, but I'm definitely going to miss not having controllers for the games I really like. Walkabout, Mini Golf, 11 Table Tennis, or some of my most played games on the Oculus Quest 3 that obviously are not going to probably be able to be done on this thing without us getting some kind of controller. So I hope Apple reconsiders and gives us controllers at some point. Not for the OS. I don't even care if they say, hey, in the OS, controllers cannot be used. It's blocked out, because I don't think we need it in the OS. I think the OS feels magical, as Apple promised, and I think it's really fun to use the way it is. Eye tracking is awesome. Don't want it in the OS. But when you start up a game that calls for VR controllers, let us use them. Same way you let us use an Xbox controller, you can let us use an accessory that you come out with for VR, or partner with somebody that has controllers, however way you want to do it. But that's my first complaint. My second complaint, obviously a lot smaller. The App Store right now isn't great, where you can't actually move the icons around where you actually want them to be on the home interface. Everything's in alphabetical order. I'm sure that's going to improve in the next OS version for sure, in 2.0. I also hate that the App Store doesn't make it really easy to discover new apps. That's probably intentional by Apple right now, but you can't see like what's new on the store or anything, which is unfortunate. So they're only advertising what they want to advertise right now, and I like to see new apps coming into the store all the time. And then the last thing that I really like to see is those persistent windows that I showed you guys making my multitasking environment throughout the video. I'd love to be able to save that in different areas for my workspace. For example, the way that we do on our phones, that it gives us a focus mode, for example, I hope that they put that in here as well. We're like, hey, I turn this on in my focus mode. I'm in this room right now, and it remembers this room, and I go, hey, I want my office set up now. And whatever I have open for my office, whether it be my Excel spreadsheet or Safari or whatever, it all kind of pops up where I wanted it to be. And then when I go into the living room and I'm like, hey, I want to turn this into my gaming environment, boom, it pops up everything of all the apps that I usually have for gaming. That'd be an awesome use case, and I'd love to see that in 2.0 for sure as one of the big main features of it. As far as things that I really do love about this thing, obviously the 3D movie experience is fantastic. The 2D movie experience is fantastic. The 2D multitasking is awesome. That's one of the main reasons I use this all the time, and I love it. I love the fact that we get to see new apps all the time added into the App Store. It's kind of like 1.0 all over again, where we actually get excited about what's coming out that day on the App Store, something that I haven't cared about on the iPhone for forever because there's so many apps releasing every day and there's so many on the store. It kind of feels like, hey, I can't wait to see what they add this week onto the App Store to see what developers are making every day. I also love that the board games, like the one I showed off here, where you can actually play chess and still multitask and all that kind of stuff. I really do think that even though we don't have VR controllers, that the future of board games on this thing would be amazing. Like the chess game and the battleship game I showed off, man, having a bunch of board games on this thing would really revolutionize board games, especially when they have online play and you can play with other people's personas and really feel like you're there. And manipulating it with your hands really feels like you're actually, playing these board games, and that'd be an awesome experience. And I hope more board games come onto this thing for that because it looks amazing on here. And the last thing, of course, is the magic of the OS. And I really do feel like magical is probably the word I would use, like Apple likes to say, because no other device I've ever used in the last few years has ever given me that wow moment and the magic moment of what since I used VR for the very first time. That's the last time I remember when I first used the Oculus Rift back in the day, of being like, holy crap, this is awesome. Holy crap, VR is awesome. That's the last time I got that wow effect, and this is now the second time I've had it ever since then. And it's because of the visuals on this. VR has always been amazing, but the visuals on this really blow it out of the water of anything of how crisp it actually looks. The movies, and I love 3D movies, as you guys know, really is the best 3D movie experience I've ever had, and I'm a huge 3D movie fan, so that gave me the wow factor. And the fact that I have a computer on my face and I can multitask with all these windows and how much fun it is to actually use, and I want to use it, also gave me the third wow factor. So thoughts on this is how I would actually use this thing. I have all these other headsets here. PlayStation VR 2 will continue to be something that I use to play PlayStation VR games, obviously, that are exclusive to that platform. The Quest will be still my social applications that I'll use, because social is not really a great thing right now on here. Yes, you can do FaceTime calls while you're, doing share play and stuff like that, which has a little bit of social stuff that you can do, where you can do social play with the apps that support it, like listening to music together or watching a movie together. That is kind of there, but you're not like in the same room with everyone's personas, really feel like you're with them. The way that big screen does their avatars on here and on the Quest and stuff like that. It's not as good as that is. So VR chat, all that stuff that's on the Quest 3. I love social VR, so I'll be continuing to use the Quest 3 for social VR. And of course, it's a gaming machine, so I'm going to continue to use the Quest for exactly what I've always used it for, which is for gaming and having those experiences. And I'm not going to get on the Apple Vision Pro anytime soon, if Apple never releases controllers. And of course, I have my big screen Beyond here in the corner, and I'll continue to use that anytime I want to play PC VR games. Even if this thing does get Steam VR support, which I heard it might, the big screen Beyond, the resolution is obviously not as good as this is, but it does use the pancake lenses and it does feel really light on my head. So I can't imagine that even if Steam VR comes on here, if it comes out in like a weird way, that I would choose it over the big screen Beyond regardless, because the big screen Beyond it gets really close and it's fun to use and it's really lightweight and everything. So for me, this is going to be my everyday computer, pretty much. In other words, like I talked about in the video, I come home, I want to look at Twitter, I want to watch a movie. It's awesome to be able to watch movies and watch 3D movies and watch TV shows while I'm eating and stuff like that. Being immersed in those environments, checking out new applications, and just relaxing on the couch and being like, hey, I want to check Twitter, but I don't want to just scroll through my phone. I'm going to pop this on really quickly, scroll through Twitter, watch a YouTube video at the same time. It's going to be a multimedia / personal computer device for me. Obviously, when I go on vacations and stuff, this is going to be my choice of device. It's not going to be the Quest anymore. And yeah, this is going to be an everyday computer for me and an everyday media machine. And obviously, we'll see. Apps may come out that maybe make me use it even more. It's obviously very new and very, we'll see what apps developers actually make right now because everything is still too new. But I'm really, really excited about the future of this thing. And I'm definitely excited to bring you more content, showing you guys games that are coming on here and whatever comes out next in applications. So stay tuned and subscribe for that for sure. I'll leave you guys with my final thought. If you actually should buy this thing, 95% of you guys should not buy this thing. Even though I praised a lot of it throughout this whole entire video, it's $3,500 plus taxes, plus more depending on which one you get, plus the case, plus the Zeiss inserts like I had because for glasses I had to use those inserts and stuff like that. There is so much good about this thing, but it's a lot of money, and I don't think most people are going to see the value of spending $500 on the Quest 3 and go into this and think that they got that value. For me, it's different. I would have paid for the Vision Pro just for 3D movies. Never mind anything else I saw. Because I'm the guy who bought an LG E6 downstairs just to watch 3D movies and would have paid a couple $1,000 for that if I had to, just to be able to experience 3D movies, because that's the way I like watching movies. So for me, it was worth it just for that. But that's not going to obviously be the majority of people out there. Majority of people are going to come onto this. There's not a lot of games on it. There's not a lot of apps on there right now. Things are still developing and stuff. So your mileage is not going to be the same as us out there. And obviously, I'm a content creator, so I get to make videos on this thing and stuff like that. I would still buy it even if I wasn't a YouTube creator, but that's because I'm a tech person and I like to be on the latest and greatest. But again, I don't know if the value of $500 to $3,500 is going to be there for 95% of you guys out there. I think a lot of people are going to be really happy with the Quest 3. I've done a full-on comparison of what you could do on the Quest 3 versus this thing. A lot of the things can be replicated, even if it's not done as well or as easy. A lot of the things can still be replicated on the Quest 3, and then you have the vast library of the Quest 3. You can stream PCVR games really easily on it from your Steam library. So there's a lot of things that the Quest 3 does right, and it gets you, it gets you the VR experience in there, even if it's not exactly the same thing as what Apple Vision Pro is doing right now. But definitely keep an eye on it as we get new products and stuff like that. The prices will go down and stuff. But if you're a tech enthusiast that doesn't care, has the money to blow, and you want to see the latest and greatest, then obviously go for it. I did, and I'm having a blast with it, and it's definitely going to stay in my daily use, and it's definitely going to be something that I do a lot of videos on here on the channel in the future. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, guys, as always, leave it down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.